A photo obtained by Fox shows a hoodie the shooter was wearing that reads, "Property of Allah." Multiple law enforcement sources also confirmed the shooter had an undershirt carrying the Iranian flag on it. Here's the FBI special agent in charge in Austin.
Since it's a matter of looking at it as a potential matter of terrorism, obviously the Joint Terrorism Task Force is engaged, which obviously includes members from Austin Police Department as well as several federal and state and local partners. In terms of specifically what type of terrorism, we're just at this point prepared to say that it was potentially an act of terrorism.
At least one search warrant is underway in Pflugerville, Texas, a town north of Austin where that shooter lived, apparently. We will continue to update you as new details emerge in this terrible case. House Republicans and Democrats are holding conference calls today on the U.S.-Israel joint strikes on Iran.
Told me to tell you
Lawmakers
hi.
are pushing for votes on war powers resolutions and a clean funding bill for the Department of Homeland Security. Chief Congressional Correspondent Chad Perkins is in Washington. He has the latest for us. Chad.
John, good afternoon. Congressional Democrats plan to force a war powers vote on Iran even before this weekend strikes. Virginia Democrat Tim Kaine says under the Constitution, only Congress can declare war unless there's an imminent threat.
This is an illegal war. I have a war powers resolution queued up for vote this week, and I'm encouraging my colleagues to assert the constitutional power vested in the legislative branch. More importantly, though, haven't we learned something from 25 years of war in the Middle East? Have we learned nothing?
The war powers resolution requires the president notify Congress of hostilities within 48 hours. A president has 60 to 90 days to withdraw troops without coming to Congress.
Very troubling is most congressional Democrats, as you brought up, they're going to line up next week and say, we don't want the president to have any authority to defend the United States of America against the imminent threat of Iran.
But a few Republicans want Congress to vote. That includes Kentucky Republicans Rand Paul and Thomas Massie, along with Ohio Republican Warren Davidson. The strikes come as the Department of Homeland Security still lacks money from Congress. The shutdown is entering its third week.
It is outrageous that they continue to stall on this because their political ideologies disagree with keeping Americans safe.
Now, there's concern about domestic terrorism. The House plans to vote this week on funding DHS. There could also be a request for Congress to approve money to help a reformed Iran or to restock our military. A House-wide briefing is set for Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Briefers include Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the Director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe. John?
All right, Chad Pergram. Chad, thanks. For more on the congressional reaction to the U.S. strikes on Iran, let's bring in South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. She's a member of the House Armed Services and Oversight Committees. As you've heard, there are a number of members of Congress, mostly Democrats, but a handful of Republicans, who say that the president should have gotten congressional permission to launch these attacks. Your response?
Well, my response is that 45 out of 47 presidents of the United States of America have conducted military strikes without congressional approval, but I'm also someone who supports having a vote. I'm a member of Congress and elected. I think Republicans and Democrats should let their voters and their constituents know where they stand on the imminent threat of Iran, because there's no peace in the Middle East if Iran has a nuclear bomb. And that's very important. But what's been clear to me in the last 24 hours, John, is that the Hamas wing of the Democrat Party is now the Democrat Party. They turn a blind eye to all of this. You're now seeing female Democrat lawmakers, angry about the potential freedom that women in Iran are about to have if President Trump and Israel are successful. So I'm sort of scratching my head, but let's have the vote. Show America where all of us stand. I don't have a problem with that either.
Chad just told us that there is going to be a briefing for Congress on Tuesday. What do you expect to learn? What do you expect to ask at that briefing?
Well, I hope that it is in a classified setting, because I would like as much information as possible on what determined these strikes were necessary and why it was necessary to do it at this time. I have been briefed in a classified setting on the House Armed Services Committee all over the world in my travels for the committee, And I do know that Iran was very close to having greater capabilities, nuclear and otherwise, than ever thought previously. And so I'm curious to know what some of that intel was, some of that information, and what triggered, no pun intended, this to happen this weekend. But I'm seeing great success. The Ayatollah is gone. I expressed my support in the fall to President Trump to take him out because we need peace. We need it everywhere, and the Gulf states support President Trump.
The Iranians are responsible for the deaths and maiming of thousands of American soldiers who were fighting in Middle East wars in the past. They have threatened death to America. Why would it be inappropriate to go after that government, that regime?
Well, I agree. It is appropriate, and I support President Trump in the strikes on Iran. And we're seeing just last night at 2 a.m. in Austin, Texas, at a bar, someone wearing a T-shirt with an Iranian flag, yelling Allahu Akbar, because our own country has been infiltrated with people who hate America, want death to America, and that's what the Ayatollah screamed around the world, was that he wanted death to Western civilization, death to Christians, death to Jews, death to America. They were preparing to be nuclear armed. They were trying to work with China and Russia to get those capabilities, and they were a danger to America. And now it looks like we might have, cells here on American soil, which we should flush this out. And I want to call out everybody on the left who was defending the Ayatollah, and the #1 state actor of terrorism in the world is now out because of President Trump, and we have the left defending Iran and their terrorism. It's insane to me. I can't make sense of it, John.
I've received emails from people who claim that these attacks resulted in the deaths of 153 girls at a girls' school. Now that claim comes from the Iranian side. It has not been verified, but those same people did not utter a peep when up to 30,000 or more Iranians were gunned down in the streets by the Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Precisely, and some of the reports that I've read out in the media and in the press was that it may have been Iranians that accidentally bombed the school, and it was very close to a military installation, and it may have been upwards of towards 50,000 people who were innocent protesters who simply wanted freedom, women and children, that Iranians recently, in recent weeks and months, have murdered on the streets of Iran. And this has been going on for over 4 decades. The Iranian people, they're well educated. There are 90 million of them. I believe under the right soil conditions in Iran, there will be a new government with new leadership, because the Iranian people want a non-nuclear and free Iran. They want what they had 45, 47 years ago before its downfall. They want safety, they want prosperity, they want education for their entire families, and we want to be safe. American soldiers, American interests need to be safe as well. And Donald Trump, in this effort, I believe, will go down as the most consequential president in American history during one of the most consequential times in world history. What we're seeing here is strength beyond any measure, and I believe he's going to do this swiftly.
The president has released a statement on Truth Social. We are working to turn that around, and when we do, we hope to play it for you and get your reaction to it, Congresswoman. But, you make an interesting point. So many on the left, including female members of the Democrat Party in Congress, are wildly complaining about what the president has done here. Given the treatment of especially women in Iran, does it surprise you that they are so filled with vitriol?
It's shocking, truly. If a woman doesn't wear her hijab in Iran, they're stoned to death, they're murdered, they're killed. Women have been in prison for decades, tortured, murdered, political prisoners murdered. I've met with some of the prisoners who've been political prisoners, women and children as well, who were tortured and escaped. And I've talked to people within the diaspora, and they just want freedom, and they want education, and they want democracy, and they want to be like other prosperous Gulf states. And that's all that they want: freedom and liberty and human rights. And at the end of the day, when you see these women on the left side of the aisle deranged and angry about Iranian women getting their freedom, it's wild. It's wildly insane. It's a hypocrisy. And I've been someone who's been fighting for women and women's rights and human rights for a very long time, and it's the same everywhere. We want everyone to be free, and that's what we should be, consistent in principle. But right now, that's not what you're seeing, particularly from Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib. They are truly off the rails this weekend, defending Iran and the terrorist state.
The president, as I mentioned, released a 6-minute video statement on Truth Social. I'd like you, Congresswoman, Congresswoman Mace to watch it with us, and then we'll get your reaction on the other side of this playback of the president's remarks. Listen.
Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself. Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. America is now again the richest, most powerful nation in the world by far. But the only reason we enjoy the quality of life that we do and the freedom and security is we have done things that others are unable to do. But it's because of warriors who are willing to lay down their lives to do battle with our enemies. And they do battle better than anybody. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons, would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen. We're not happening to us, and we're not going to let it happen to others. The United States has the strongest military the world has ever seen. I rebuilt our military in my first term. There's never been a military like we possess. And frankly, there's nobody even close, but we are now using that military for good. We want to have it for good purpose. We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats. For almost 50 years, these wicked extremists have been attacking the United States while chanting the slogan, death to America or death to Israel or both. They are the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. We are the world's greatest and most powerful nation, so we can do something about what they do. These intolerable threats will not continue any longer. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help. Thank you. God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
That's President Trump in a release that he just posted on his Truth Social site. So the president says we'll be there to help the Iranian people, Congresswoman. Continuing our conversation with Congresswoman Nancy Mace of South Carolina. He says we'll be there to help. Does that suggest to you that there would be boots on the ground here?
Well, we'll find out. I'm not sure what that means yet, but I know that that'll be one of many questions that our Secretary Rubio, Secretary Hegseth will be asked in our briefing at 5 p.m. next Tuesday, excuse me, when Congress is briefed, first the Senate and then the House. But I want to thank President Trump for offering his prayers for our troops who are willing to lay down their lives against the terrorism in Iran. And I want to remind the viewers on Fox News that the Ayatollah Khamenei was the supreme leader of Iran. He was the #1 state actor of terrorism. He created and funded, for example, the Houthis and Hezbollah and Hamas, all of these awful terrorist organizations and groups overseas that have been killing Americans, killing people who are fighting and just simply want freedom. And he laid it out for the American people just now on why we're doing this. But we'll have more information and I suppose more questions too in the days to come, and I look forward to getting briefed by our secretaries and getting that information and sharing it with the American people.
Iran's foreign minister is saying that it will take 1 or 2 days to pick a new supreme leader, a new Ayatollah. Does that suggest to you that the Iranians think everything is just going to go on as before?
I think so, and I think it could be bluffing by the Iranians. There is a TONE or a chain of command. They have not announced it. They had 40 or 50 of their top leaders wiped out in the first few hours. Anyone they name is going to be eliminated probably pretty swiftly, and so they're just going to have to keep going, I assume. But I'll believe it when I see it at this point. There's a lot at stake, and there's no one more powerful, as President Trump said, than the United States of America and her ally Israel.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace, Republican of South Carolina. Congresswoman, thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.
The true Iran is kind people, receiving people, happy people. We love everybody. We are peaceful people. So the day that we're going to be finally free, the whole world going to see who we are.
Iranian expatriates here in the U.S. and around the world are hitting the streets with hope and optimism after the death of Iran's longtime dictator Ali Khamenei. But there are still questions about who will lead the Islamic Republic and whether the Iranian people will be able to rise up.